What is up, everybody? It is Wednesday, April 21st. We have got a soccer super league. We've got the Nets injury plague. We got the New York Stankies, Zion madness, and a whole lot more. The Wire starts now. Welcome to The Wire. Oh, we hope you enjoyed the H2G podcast. They got serious talking about human trafficking, but we done with all that. It's sports time. Fellas, real quick, how you doing?
Good. Ready to go.
Let's say Sahi and I just get off work, man. Let's do this.
All right. Yeah, I've had a couple of hours to sit and stew and think about sports, so I'm ready to roll. I get off work early because I start early. What can I say? All right. Well, first things first, let's talk some NFL just a little bit. So the NFL 2020 Comeback Player of the Year is not coming back for another season. Just a reminder, Alex Smith, he came back after 17 surgeries and a life-threatening injury, and announced his retirement this week after 16 full seasons in the NFL. First and foremost, does this news shock anybody?
No. I was hoping he'd go ahead and hang him up. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like his coach said, he was worried about him every time he went out there and played. You never know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? He almost lost his life the first time. It's just amazing that he was able to get through this season. And it was inspirational to watch, and I think he'll do better things outside of the NFL than he could have done in the NFL.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, it was kind of overdue. I'll say this much. He worked his butt off to get where he was at, and he led the Washington football team to the best of his capabilities. And I don't think you can, ask much more than that. Washington did not want to continue with him. He allegedly had opportunities to play one more in Jacksonville. But I think, for Alex, he's a competitor. He wasn't just trying to play another year. He wanted to try to win a championship. So he wasn't about to go to Jacksonville. Also, I have a quick special guest in the lobby.
I was going to say, all right, let me go ahead and...
This guest will not be here for long, but they have something they need to say about the sports world.
We got Christy from the H2G Podcast.
Hey.
Well, hello. Are you here to talk sports with us?
I am.
All right. Well, we're talking about Alex Smith at the moment.
Oh, and all those double dribbles and free throws that he's doing from the half court.
No.
Football.
I knew this.
I mean, all them punts and stuff.
Close. Warmer.
He didn't kick it. No. Not the feet.
No.
The arm.
That quarterback is amazing.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, former MVP.
That is the most valuable punter.
Yeah.
Player.
Like I said, most valuable player.
Yeah.
Well, what's up, Christy?
Nothing. I just was like, I need to check in on my guys. Yeah,
Can you give her a basketball topic, Justin, while we're talking about double dribbles?
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk a little basketball. Let's see here. What have we got? There's a whole lot going on in basketball. Okay, how about Zion Williamson? Did you guys see that he basically set New York and New Orleans Twitters server is completely on fire. I mean, he plays, for everyone who doesn't know, he plays for the New Orleans Pelicans, and they lost to the Knicks this past week. And in a post-game interview, he said, "New York is the mecca of basketball. I love playing here. I played here in college. This is my first time playing here in the pros. And this atmosphere, whether they're cheering or booing for you, it's amazing. Outside of New Orleans, obviously, this might be my favorite place to play." First off, before we get into this, everybody, I just want to point out that due to COVID restrictions, there was only like 35 people allowed in that stadium. So all the cheering and booing, I don't know exactly what he was talking about. But my question is, who should be more concerned about Zion's statements, the Knicks fans or the Pelicans fans?
Christy, what do you think?
I came on here as a joke. I don't know what the fuck you are talking about. You lost me at Zion, which, you know what? Zion is actually my husband's handle for Steam, and I am Zion wifey. So I know that much.
Okay, so you like Zion then?
Yeah, love it. Love that.
I got to agree with you, Christy. He's a good ball player.
Yeah,
really.
So amazing. He does a double dribble. He makes all of his shots.
Not all of them.
He makes so many free throws and 3-pointers. Curry.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Just hang tight, Christy. Sahi, who do you think should be more concerned here, the Knicks fans or the Pelicans fans?
Naturally, it'd be the Pelicans. You know, you're a part of the Pelicans. You don't go talking about another city and another team. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, do you really want to be here? Like, if you want to play in New York so much, go to New York, man. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I mean, does the fact that it's Madison Square Garden have anything to do with it? It is a legendary place for sports of all kinds.
Oh, who cares? It hasn't been relevant in 40 fucking years, dude. The last time they were in a championship was like 1977. That was over 40 years ago, before I was fucking born. Get out of here. All I can say is Zion Williamson, that fat ass, shut the hell up, dude. You're here in New Orleans. Like, I don't know what you're complaining about. You're getting paid millions of dollars and, you Madison Square Garden. Shut up. You know, the other person who says that a lot is LeBron James. And, you know, I'll give him some leeway because at least he's like the GOAT. You know, this kid hasn't done anything. The most notable thing he's known for is like running so hard his shoes broke. That's what he's known for. He's that fat. Okay.
Whoa.
Saeed, do you have a rebuttal?
You know, I mean, Madison Square Garden, it is a, you know what I'm saying, legendary place to play. He could be the savior to come and help turn that franchise back to its glory days. But I just would have kept that statement in my back pocket for right now.
Did Kyrie and Kevin Durant go over there? I thought they went to the Nets.
Yeah.
How you gonna win? I don't understand.
All I heard was this guy is the Pelican Jesus, basically.
Yeah, basically. That's about right.
Yeah, that's
all right.
That's what he was supposed
Giving her Steph Curry.
Yeah, we'll roll over to Steph. Okay, so this is something that's been on my mind. Why aren't we talking more Steph Curry here on The Wire, on ESPN, on SportsCenter, on First Take? You name the show. He's not getting brought up right now. But guys, just to point out, he played 4 games last week. 3 of those, he cleared 10 3-pointers. I mean, the guy is still on fire. What's keeping Steph Curry out of relevant conversation? And what can he do to get back into the spotlight?
Christy, what do you think?
Okay, Steph Curry's wife is amazing. I don't know.
Is she?
Steph Curry. Yeah. Oh my God, what's her name? I don't know.
Ayesha Curry.
Yeah, shout out.
Okay, she has a really awesome cookbook. Yeah, she's and her personality and their kid is so adorable.
Riley.
Okay,
he should be all over the news. I mean, really.
Oh my God. They're like the cutest little family ever. And that includes my own because mine is garbage compared to theirs.
Oh my
Whoa. Okay. Damn. Throwing her husband, herself, and her brand new son in the trash can there. Woo. Okay.
My dog is pretty amazing.
And when she threw him, she said, Curry.
She said, yeah, she didn't say Kobe. She said Curry. All right. Well, I have to say something about Aisha before I go into this topic. I'm not a huge fan of her. I think she's a great person, but hold on. Well, Christy, you didn't hear this, all right? So here's my problem with Aisha. I got beef, okay? She was complaining that guys aren't hitting her up in Instagram and sliding in her DMs. I'm not playing. What? She said this stuff. You know what I mean? She's jealous that Steph Curry gets attention and she don't. That's like the most dramatic, like melodramatic bullshit. It was during the NBA playoffs when he needed to focus. And guess what? She said the shit the year they lost. Just throwing that out there, all right? So,
Are you trying to blame a woman for a man's problem?
No. No, that's her own fault. Only somebody like, and again, this is nothing to do with women and men. Only a neglectful partner would put their own needs above someone else in their the time they're stressed out. That makes no sense. Why she would air that laundry out and say, "Oh, nobody wants me. I feel so ugly." Nobody cares, Aisha. I am sorry. Get out of here. Back to that topic, okay?
As far as basketball goes,
here's why. There's 3 reasons why. 1, they ain't winning. That's the reality. When they were winning, he was back-to-back MVP. Now they ain't winning. Nobody cares. That's the fucking reality. 2, he's not even leading the league in points per game. Bradley Beal still is. Now he's number 2. Having said that, Joel Embiid is number 3. He's also number 7 in rebounds and number 7 in blocks and number 27 in assists. Steph Curry isn't even top 10 in anything outside of points. That's why nobody's talking about him. What's the motherfucker doing? Oh, he's scoring some points a little more than the other guy. Don't get me wrong. The greatest shooter of all time, hands down. And also, he runs that offense. They can't score without him. But the motherfucker should have 38 points. Look what happened with James Harden. When he didn't have anyone last year, he averaged 36 points a game. Steph Curry's averaging 31. It's a 5-point difference. And I've always said that. I live in the Bay. It's where he plays. And people have always told me Steph Curry's better than James Harden, this, that, and the other. Now, yes, he's significantly more prolific shooter and things like that. But what I said is Steph Curry is not able to carry a team like James Harden was almost able to carry the team. That he could not score 36 points per game because he does not have it in him, because he does not have that kind of game. He needs a supplementary player like Klay Thompson, or obviously when they had KD, to be able to, efficiently score. He's the most efficient scorer. He can score 30 points every single night, but he's never going to be able to dominate that game. And the game with the Raptors, where Curry was all on his own, he scored 44 points in a loss, and he tried his damnedest. And that's the best I've ever seen him do. But he can't do that. He can't carry the team on his back. And that's why he's not in the MVP discussion. Because if he was able to be at least top 5 in the West, we'd be talking about Steph Curry. But they ain't in the top 5. They ain't even in the top 8. They're not going to make the playoffs. It is what it is.
He's not in any discussion. That's what I've been getting at. I mean, we haven't brought him up until today. And
that's because I don't want to talk about this bum. Until they actually win, wow. I don't care about Steph Curry.
Sahi, this bum, and now granted, it doesn't make sense. The Celtics beat the Warriors, and they're playing right now as we're recording. But the last game they played was against the Celtics. They lost 119-114. Steph put up 47 points. He played for 37 minutes. He was 15 for 27, 11 3-pointers through the hoop. Why is this man missing from the conversation, Sahi?
Richie said it all. They're not winning. And that's really what it's about, right? You got to win, or else nobody's going to care. Like he said, he's one of the best shooters in the league. He won the 3-point contest. People were going crazy over him then. So that's really what it's about. But it's really not his fault. He's dealing with injuries. The West has gotten stronger. The teams have built up and prepared to beat the Warriors. They had their run, and it's over now. So he's really got to think about what he's going to do next year. There was talk about him going to LA, suiting up, playing with LeBron. But once he gets back winning, you know what I'm saying, and he's making those shots in the playoffs and playing in big time games, he's kind of just gonna be forgotten about for the season. But overall, he's a legend. People are always gonna love and talk about Steph Curry, but as far as this season, it's just not his time right now.
He's getting the Dame Lillard treatment, Justin. When you don't win, nobody talk about you. That's just the reality.
That's the truth. Christy, what do you think?
I think that I'm going to be the Steph Curry of today. I'm a legend, and I'm going to sign off here.
Well, thank you for your cameo here on the Wire.
We appreciate you, special guests, and your analysis.
I'm talking to Richie, and he said y'all were doing it, and I'm like, guess what I'm doing? Hanging out with you.
we needed it. We needed it.
I missed the other podcast today, so I had to jump on one of them, right?
Right, yeah. Got to get in somewhere.
Right.
Get in where you fit in, and you fit in here anytime.
Aw. I can talk about all the free throws and...
Yeah, and Aisha Curry and her cookbook and Riley.
Cooking.
Most valuable punters.
Most valuable punters.
They do the best interviews. God, they're so cutest little family.
So adorable. Cutest little family.
Cutest little family. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, gentlemen, and I will talk to you later.
Adios.
Peace out.
There it is, Christy from the H2G Podcast. Okay, guys, we got one more story before we go to the break. And then when we come back, we'll talk a little more NBA. But Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens, his 4-year, $9.5 million rookie contract is coming to an end. And so far, all we've heard from Ravens executives is that there's an ongoing discussion. Now, granted, the young man will play for another $1.7 million this upcoming season. And then, from where I'm sitting, the Ravens have a few options. They do have the extension, the 5th-year option, which I believe is $1.9 million. They could offer him a new contract, and who knows what that would entail. Or is it time for Baltimore to look elsewhere? What do you guys think?
I'll let Sahi go first.
All right. Lamar Jackson isn't going anywhere anytime soon. They built that team around him to better fit his skill set. He's still a young guy. They're just in talks of trying to, work out the numbers so it's best for both sides. I don't see him going anywhere. He's going to be one of the highest paid players in the league. He's one of the best in the league. He's getting better year after year. So letting a guy like that go would be ridiculous. And they're not going to find a better talent like that out the gate. So they need him back. And I think that they're going to do whatever they can to get it done. Like you said, they still got the 5th-year option to pick up. So it's not anything that has to get done right now. It's not like a Dak Prescott situation. So I see Lamar Jackson finishing his career with the Ravens, to be honest.
Richie, typically when it's a franchise, you don't have to wait into the 5th-year option and things like this. They tag that franchise as soon as they can. Does it say something that we still haven't heard what exactly is going on over there?
I like the idea of the speculation, but I don't think so. Don't get me wrong. They tied their butt to Joe Flacco, for crying out loud. Let's be honest here. I did some quick math. I am projecting that he makes $51 million per year. And let me explain. Russell Wilson makes $35 million, which is $10 million less than Patrick Mahomes. So I think he's right in that Russell Wilson money. But then you have to factor in he's their running back too. So Christian McCaffrey makes $16 million. So that 16 plus 35 is $51 million. I expect him to make $51 million. He is their literal entire offense at the moment. It's honestly I'm more disappointed in Baltimore. I think Jackson's a fantastic person, and you're not seeing any complaints or anything like that. They're stringing him along in the sense of they're milking the fact that they don't have to pay him. And what do they have to show for it? When you look at that team, what do they have to show for not paying him. Because when they do pay him, I'll tell you what, they're not going to magically get better, you know? So if their idea is like keep him on the cheap as long as humanly possible, then they need to be surrounding him with talent yesterday. So I'm very disappointed with Baltimore. Again, I'm a Bengals fan, but let's keep it real. You know, we want to see people succeed. And to me, Jackson has done everything in his power to succeed there. But Baltimore, let's keep it real. Not a wide receiver destination. You saw all the free agent wide receivers saying, nah, I'm good. They tried everything, man. They tried to get Juju. They offered him, I think it was like $18.5 million per year. And Juju took 10 to stay with Pittsburgh. So I think that says it in itself in terms of like wide receivers not wanting to go there. And it has nothing to do with Jackson. It's that Baltimore doesn't pay. They just don't care about that. They always want to run. Now I'm concerned for the poor kid because he's a running quarterback and we don't know how much longer he's going to have to play. So to watch, potentially he plays on $1.5 million salary or whatever the stupid number it is right now, and then he gets injured and then he never gets any money. I'd be disgusted with that, quite frankly. I don't understand what they're doing. It's better to pick him up now because every year they wait, as we saw with Dak Prescott, it's just going to get more and more expensive. Do we honestly think Dak Prescott should be the number 2 highest paid quarterback? I personally don't, but that's what he is because Dallas sat there and waited. And it's the same thing for Baltimore. That, sure, they don't want to hit 45 with Patrick Mahomes. Let's keep it real. But they should probably try to lock Jackson in at 40 because in a year or two, when the contracts go out bigger from the TV deals, he gonna get more than 45 million. Sign him now. I don't understand it. I think it's weird.
Not to fuel the conspiracy fire, but will you be surprised? Obviously, we're a week out from the start of the NFL draft. That's finally going to be here. And the Ravens are sitting at number 27, I think. I think they're right around the bottom of the draft pool. Do they go quarterback? I mean, what will your thoughts be there? There's not going to be a whole lot of pick. I mean, obviously, we're all going to have something to say if Justin Fields is still available at 27.
Yeah. Like I said, they have their guy. Like barring injury, something unforeseen happening, Lamar Jackson's going to be Baltimore for a while. And like Richie brought up, the TV contracts, the numbers. Nobody is exactly sure what the salary cap is going to look like come next year. With COVID happening this year, it went down a little bit, even though they expected it to go up prior to that. Nobody there. It's an unsure time right now. So I think they're just taking their time. There's no need to rush it, and they'll get the deal done when the time is right. He'll be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm anticipating wide receiver 1,000%. Now, obviously, they're not going to get like the major picks because they're 27th. I expect them to get like Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, more likely. I think he would do really well with Sammy Watkins and Hollywood Brown. Those guys are kind of quick, but they don't have the length. So I think they're going to be looking for a taller, bigger wide receiver. There's been other people that have been thrown around, Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State, but I don't see that because he's like 6 foot, 180 pounds. He's just another Sammy Watkins. So I really do anticipate them going big and getting a big threat and a deep threat. It's the one thing they need because, again, as we talked about, they have the future. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes and you're talking about Lamar Jackson. They were 1A, 1B 2 years ago. Jackson kind of didn't have a great season last year, so that's why he kind of fell. But let's not forget, we're talking former MVP. All right, what is he, 24, 23? He's your former MVP. He's not going anywhere.
All right. Well, we're not going anywhere either, but we are going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we've got some more headlines to cover. You are watching The Wire. We'll be right back. All right. So this is Gary 43. He says, I feel like Justin is the reason this country has to put directions on shampoo. Do you even know what you're talking about, bro? No, I don't, Gary fucking 43. I have no idea. I don't even use shampoo. I just use 1 3-in-1 body wash, you bastard.
All right, this is from Karen 45. How do you feel about being ranked sexiest man on your podcast when Tony looks like a barbecued Kermit the Frog?
Jesus. Right.
Wait a second.
My.
Why? That sounds like a Tony rip. Why is Marvin?
That's a Tony rip. That's towards me?
Wow.
Does Christy think having a child on her lap makes her seem more likable? Also, get some sleep. You look tired. Thanks, Breezy. I'm trying.
Adam says, I see ratings must have been down. They recruited someone interesting.
Wow.
All right.
Some burn on the rest of us.
Oh, I mean, thank you, Adam.
Ashley says, I watch the show a lot and I was wondering, are you all changing the name to RT2M? Richie talks too much. I don't know what to say, Ashley, other than I feel like I talk exactly as much as I should. So fuck you.
Yes. Oh boy. Margaret says, is it me or when Tony talks, do you get the feeling he's constipated?
Yeah. Well,
What?
that face right there doesn't really help you.
All right, welcome back. It is The Wire, and we are moving on, and we're going to talk a little bit more basketball, and then we'll get on to some other stuff. Guys, we haven't gone a week without talking about the Nets, but how can we not? I mean, they got so many stories surrounding them. So right now, KD is out again. He's out this time with a left thigh contusion. It's safe to say that Durant's durability is questionable for at least the rest of the season, right? Possibly the playoffs. Can the Nets make it and or win the finals without KD?
Nope.
I mean, if we're looking at the stats here, and this is something that I don't know if you guys know or not, but KD has now missed 33 games this season. Additionally, Kyrie Irving's missed 16 games this season. Some of that is his sabbatical or his personal reasons. We're not going to dig into it, but whatever. Some of it's injury, some of it's taking time off. Harden's missed 10 games this season. Those three, the Monstars, as Sahi liked to put it last week, have only played 7 games together this whole season, and we're nearing the end. I mean, we've got a month and a couple weeks left of the NBA season before, and then they have to stay healthy through the playoffs into the finals. What do you guys think?
Yeah, with they all have to be there for them to make any kind of noise. Because I don't believe the East is as weak as it used to be. So it's not going to be a cakewalk like the years when LeBron was in the East. Besides when he had a couple tough challenges, got put out a couple times, mostly the Boston Celtics. But I'm not big on the history of the league or anything. But yeah, they're gonna, especially if they get to the finals and face probably the Lakers. If they don't have all their guys, they're gonna look bad. But once everybody comes back, I do expect them to struggle maybe in the first round, just getting everything going. But once they warm up, I think they'll be all right if they got everybody. But they need KD, especially if they got James Harden and Kyrie Irving out there. Without KD, it was going to be real tough for them. KD's the number 2 player in the league, so they're going to need him to make any kind of noise. It's just that simple.
Richie, same question.
Yeah. If they want to get anywhere, they're going to need Kevin Durant. And I'll put it simply this way. James Harden is a top 5 player. Kevin Durant is a top 5 player. Kyrie Irving is a top 10 player and probably arguably the best scorer on their team, actually. But having said all of that, the way they play, you have 2 guards. 2 guards in this league is not going to get anything done. You need Kevin Durant to be able to get in there and use his big body, because as we just found out, LaMarcus Aldridge retired because of his health. So now they don't even have any, Kevin Durant's the second tallest guy on the team again. So they need Kevin Durant. They will not get past Philadelphia without Kevin Durant. They probably won't get past Milwaukee without Kevin Durant. Hell, I don't even know if they could beat the Hawks without Kevin Durant, because the Hawks may not have a big squad, but they score 140 points just like the Nets do. And if Kevin Durant's not there, I don't think the Nets can score 140 points. So they got a lot, and that's just the East. Now the West, I'm a little disappointed because I just want to briefly mention Jamal Murray tore his ACL. So the Denver Nuggets are officially out of what I consider contention. I think they are the strongest team to give the Lakers a shot of beating them, and in addition to that, possibly winning. But without your superstar, you got no shot. So, but go back to the thing, Kevin Durant has to play for them. They will not win. James Harden and Kyrie Irving are phenomenal, but they both do the exact same thing. And two of the exact same thing is not how you win in basketball. You got to have a strategy. There's got to be, whether it's inside out, outside in, pick and roll, there's different ways you can go about it, but it can't be both of you iso ball, shoot the 3-pointer, hope the ref calls a foul. You can't do that to win the game. That's not going to work. Absolutely.
Now, my follow-up question on this is if Kevin Durant, say this is him being, how we've talked about, cautious, because let's go back to my initial statement. You don't come back from an Achilles injury, whether it be you don't come back or you don't physically come back. You just don't come back from an Achilles injury like that, the way that he came out balling. He came out balling, but then he's missed 33 games this season. He's had a host of injuries, all related to the same leg. Now he's out again. If they get him back, is there enough time? Because again, these three have only played 7 games together. Is there enough time for them to find cohesion and make something happen, even if he does come back?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, they maybe a round and a half of trying to get back into the swing of it, because they wouldn't need much of KD early, but especially once you get into the conference finals and then to the finals, that's when you're going to need to be hitting on all, cylinders. So I think if he could get back maybe a week or two before the playoffs, get into a groove, kind of slide by, and then ramp it up, which would be tough because you're risking injury again, ramping it up like that. But that's what you got to do to win a championship. So we'll see. But I think they'll be able to just get right into it. It wouldn't take much time for them to find, a nice cohesiveness.
Just remember, we still haven't seen them figure out defense. And part of the reason is they haven't had a full squad, and they're still focused on bringing guys like Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. Now he's gone already, but
Yeah.
Richie, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this: to quantify or be concerned with their lineup isn't a fair assessment to the Nets, because there's Lakers are in the same problem. Milwaukee Bucks are in the same problem. Hell, the 76ers are in the same problem. Ben Simmons missed 18, almost 20 games already. Every contender right now is injured or their lineup's not at 100%. So if we're going to talk about what can these guys in the Nets do? Well, to me, it's a bigger concern is the Lakers. You got 3 guys on the Nets. If 2 of them play good, 2/3 of them play good, you're good. But you only have 2 guys at the Lakers. One of them has a crap game, you're going to lose. It's really that simple. But having said that, to the point of the Nets, can they get it all done in time? I don't know. But I'll say this much. They're still second in the East, even with all these guys missing individual games. And they're only 1 game behind Philadelphia, with Joel Embiid playing a career year, the MVP of the league, in my opinion, or Nikola Jokic. But having said that, again, second in the league, and all these guys have been missing games. They've only had 7 total games combined, and they're second in the East. So they're sitting pretty compared to the other teams. Who are the teams with them? Philadelphia, big contenders. But then you look on the West, the Utah Jazz are the number 1 team in the league right now. And then the Phoenix Suns are number 2. A lot of fraudulent random teams in there, quite frankly. So having said that, the Nets easily can figure this out. Because as Sahi said, and I'm going to reiterate this, the East is not that weak like people think, because they're used to the LeBron Cavaliers and him sweeping the Toronto Raptors every year. This is not the same conference that it once was. Both these teams have parities. Both these conferences have goose eggs and garbage bottom teams, and then they have fantastic top end teams. And in my opinion, the East top 4 teams look stronger than the West top 4, although that's because the Lakers are at number 4 and then number 5 and number 6 are where most of the strong teams. But that's the point. We're looking at a whole bunch of weirdness right now. Everybody's injured. It's anybody's ball game, and it's a matter of who can get healthy and start clicking. If the Nets are the first one to do it, I think they're the favorites, but who knows? We don't know what's going on with the Lake Show. We don't know what's going on with the Bucks. We don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. We have no clue. Hell, we're not even talking about the Clippers. I mean, we know they're not the real LA team, to Sahi's point, but there's so many teams here. We don't know who, none of them are really healthy. So we'll see. But it was a super interesting stat. Only 7 games with the Monstars. I did not realize that they've only played 7 games together. But James Harden leading the league in assists.
He's a monster. I mean, I know we made the Monstar joke, but James Harden's a beast. I mean, and I still don't understand it. I wish he could give me the secret to put on
36 points per game to leading the league in the assists the very next season.
36 points per game and 36 pounds per week he can drop. I mean, it's crazy.
That's right. Oh, yes. That pregnant belly. You're right.
I didn't think I was going to see an opportunity today to throw the wrench in the gears, but I actually do, just based off of your little segment there. So let's go ahead and throw a wrench in it. Is this ultimately what we were worried about back in December and November? Is this the byproduct of putting a extended super late finals in the bubble and then throwing in a big NFL or NBA season right on top of it? Is that what we're seeing, a byproduct of too much basketball in too little time?
I believe so. We've never had that quick of a turnaround before. So these guys have got to get used to grinding it every night, every other night. It's a long season. So you just have to do what you got to do to make what really counts, the playoffs. The NBA season is not, nobody cares about the regular season for real. It's all about getting to the playoffs and competing for that championship. So the teams that you expect to be there, they've got guys that are out. And I think they're just trying to limp into the playoffs as best as possible. Nobody's caring about where we're seated, who we're matching up with in the first round. The only thing is, let's just get there. Once we're at the dance, we can hopefully do whatever we can to come out on top. And I think that's exactly what it is. They just started the season way too soon. Guys didn't have a chance to rest. So that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, KD doesn't have an excuse because he was out Achilles injury, but I figured he'd be the guy that was really playing. Like, if you would have asked me back then who was the MVP, I probably would have said Kevin Durant, because he's ready to roll. He had a whole year off, and he's ready to get back into the swing of things. But you just never know. So we'll see how it progresses through the playoffs.
Richie?
All I'm gonna say is this: in horse racing, when a horse has to compete too often, it most likely breaks its leg and it gets euthanized. This is exactly what we were talking about. This is exactly what's happening. They're all getting injured. Or maybe it's from a couple weeks ago with Sahi's whole scheme, right? Maybe this is a conspiracy theory. And like he said, we're all just like, you know what? Everyone knows the only time the fans care is the NBA playoffs. Whereas football, it's the inverse. every season game, everyone's all up to, and then the playoffs are kind of whatever. But the NBA playoffs are all anybody cares about when it comes to the NBA. And so maybe, just throwing that out there from Sahi's point earlier, maybe they're just all taking a break, right? LeBron hurt himself and he's like, you know what? I can't win MVP. So I'm going to just sit this one out. Hell, we'll be 7th. That way we can play against, the Clippers. That way they can't dodge us. That way they can't say our win was fraudulent. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're just like, you know what? The Clippers are doing well and my groin hurts. Fuck it. I'm just going to sit out 30 games. Maybe that's what this is.
Maybe, but I think I also have to agree. I think we were right actually back when we spoke before. It's just too much. Another side note on Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant, please, you're welcome to come on the wire and redo this. We'll have the same discussion with you, and you could redo this. But Kevin Durant was on a different, more popular sports podcast, and we hope to get there. And no shade by any means. This past week, and he was asked to list his top 5 favorite teammates to play with of all time. Let me just be very specific. Favorite teammates to play with. He didn't say best. He didn't say, GOATs, nothing like that. And so some of the names that he said we'd probably expect, right? Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, James Harden, Klay Thompson, Serge Ibaka? Serge Ibaka. Okay, and so then it didn't take long before the host of the podcast mentioned to him, what about Russell Westbrook? You do play with Russell Westbrook. And he said, oh, did I forget something? He said, oh shit, I must be tripping. Russ, yeah, I did forget about Russ. Russ would definitely be in my top 5. Fellas, my question is, was this an honest mistake? or did he forget? Did he just forget? Because can you just forget about Russell Westbrook and mention Serge Ibaka?
I mean, here's what I'll say. I think if I were Draymond Green, I'd be more upset. And let me clarify this statement. When you look at, again, who he named, he basically named everybody on the Warriors except for Draymond Green. And then he named his buddies he's playing with now, right? And then when you look at the guy he picked, Serge Ibaka, he picked Serge Ibaka because that was his defensive anchor when he played for the Thunder. Well, Draymond Green was the defensive anchor of those Warriors teams. Like Russ Westbrook and him, again, him and Russ are friends. And let me clarify, Draymond Green and Kevin Durant are friends. Draymond Green is the reason Kevin Durant even went to the Warriors. Draymond Green called Kevin Durant after they lost and convinced him to come to the Warriors. So they're very close friends. Very close friends. So having said that, Russ was also a very close friend. So I get, it could be Russ. And I'm not saying there couldn't be shade there, but if I'm Draymond Green, I'm pretty pissed right now because we already talked about him a couple weeks ago. He said, I'm the best defensive player in the league and of all time. He's claimed that himself. So for him to lose as a best defensive player and teammate of Kevin Durant to Serge Ibaka, I'd be pissed. Russ and him, I don't even think they care. Like, I truthfully don't think there's any beef or they don't even care anymore. Russ is more concerned about like how shitty the Wizards are probably than Kevin Durant. But I'm telling you, Draymond Green is probably pissed right now. If I were Draymond Green, I'd be upset. So to me, do I think there's shade in it? No, I do think he forgot Russ. But I do think there was some shade that Draymond Green was not chosen over Serge Ibaka.
What do you make of it, man? Did he just forget in the moment? Would it have been a different 5 if we asked him again?
Yeah, I think it would be a different 5 if we asked him again because, let's just face it. This guy hops teams more than anybody I know. So the list of teammates he's got is long. There's no way he's going to remember all those guys' names. And Westbrook just happened to be the guy that got left off. And I don't think it's no shade towards Westbrook, even though I feel like if he had to do it again, he'd probably leave Westbrook off. Like he had to be reminded, be like, oh yeah, throw Russ in there. But I don't think he was probably like the first person he probably thought of was like, all right, my top 5 favorite teammates. And Westbrook's name came up. He was like, nah, I ain't gonna throw him in there. And then to list out the other guys. Because I'll be honest, if I was a teammate of Westbrook, he probably wouldn't be one of my favorite players to play with either. Because, you know what I'm saying? I'd watch him play, take kind of the shots that you'd be like, Russ, what are you doing? You know, the meme where LeBron is like asking J.R. Smith, what is he doing? They did that a lot with Russell Westbrook. Like, what are you doing? Because he's a one-track minded guy. He's a guy that's going to go out there and do it all. He's like, y'all get out of my way. This is my team kind of player. You see it with the triple doubles. He gets all the stats. He got big men out there. He don't need to be grabbing 15 and 20 rebounds a game. You know what I'm saying? You're not the point guard. You don't need to be getting all these assists. You know what I'm saying? You're not the whole team, Westbrook. That's probably what Kevin Durant was, you know what I'm saying, thinking to himself those years playing with OKC. But yeah, it was just an honest mistake. You know what I'm saying? He's got so many teammates to list off of. He's on this team. He's on that team.
He went current team, and then he went Warriors, right? So it's kind of logical. And then he was just like, shit, who was on the Thunder? And he was just Serge Ibaka.
I just can't buy into that. I can't buy with all the other options to pick that the number 5 was Serge Ibaka.
He's a great dude, though. He's a great dude.
You got to remember, Serge Ibaka was the only dude he had before Steven Adams was even drafted. He was their center. So again, like I said, like on that young Thunder team, Serge Ibaka was the big brother. He was the oldest guy. So again, it could be favoritism. Who knows? All I can say is I don't disagree with you. It could easily be shade on Westbrook, but I'm still going with the Draymond Green. I'd be pissed if I was him. I got 3 championships, and this guy gonna lead me off for some dude who couldn't win with him at all and got traded? Come on.
No, you got to remember Draymond Green called him a bitch, and you know what I'm saying, in the team huddle. That was kind of the big story. You know what I'm saying?
He did call him that, but he called him that all the time. They talked about it. They called each other that. You know, you've seen the Michael Rappaport and Kevin Durant. Y'all saw that stuff. You see how Kevin Durant talked. He called people bitch and all that stuff. So I know what you mean, but I think that was blown over. What Kevin was mad about was the Warriors organization not doing anything. They didn't reach out to him. He wasn't pissed at Draymond because he was just like, you know what? That's Draymond. Like, we say that shit to each other all the time. He was more upset with the org. But I feel you, Sahi. You know, don't get me wrong. I do think there's shade on the Westbrook. But if I'm Draymond Green, like I said, man, I'm the reason you got rings. I'm the reason you went to the Warriors, and you gonna pick Serge Ibaka over me?
All right, we're gonna switch gears. We're gonna talk a little baseball. We don't do this often, but there's a story that's and granted, let me just preface this just like we did when we started talking the Nets. Just get ready to talk about it all season. That's all I'm saying, because when we started talking about the Nets, we kept saying it's early in the basketball season, but who do we talk about every freaking week now? The New York Nets. Another thing going on in New York that's not as hot. The Yankees are not looking great at all early. They're starting out 5-10 on the season. This is the worst start the New York Yankees have had since 1997. They've got 6 guys hitting under a 200 RBI. And it looked like doomsday against the Tampa Bay Rays the other day. They lost 8-2. Okay, fans are throwing garbage and baseballs on the field at them. First question, is this going to be an all-year thing with the Yankees? Are we about to see the Stankies all year long?
Sorry.
Probably.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Yankees, this is embarrassing. They're at almost $200 million payroll. Now, don't get me wrong, the Dodgers, the World Series champions, are $240. But the next highest is the Stankies right now, and they are stinking it up. If I were the trash on there is well deserved. I don't have much to say because the Yankees have always been spend a lot to get a lot, and right now they're spending a lot and they're not getting much. It's embarrassing, and if I were a Yankee fan, I'd be very livid with the team. They are looking like caca. I don't know what else to say. Doo-doo. Anything but the actual word. They're looking terrible, man. And I don't see it getting any better. Like I think what was it? You said there's 4 batters under 200.
6
batters out of the 9 in the lineup.
Under a 200, yeah.
Because remember, they have a designated hitter. The pitcher is not a batter. So only 1/3 of the team is batting over 200, which is, dude, Michael Jordan batted over 200 when he was playing in AA baseball. Okay, let's put that into frame of reference. That's how bad the Yankees are currently playing. And the Tampa Bay Rays, just to clarify, Derek Jeter is now an owner and all that. They have one of the smallest payrolls in the league, and they just got thumped 8-2. This is not looking good.
And the Rays are only 8-8. I mean, they're not out to a stellar start.
No, but that's my point. The Rays are, like the Cleveland Indians, who's the lowest payroll in baseball. Nobody's paid, right? Like it's basically like all the dudes nobody else wanted, and they're spending like the least amount. Okay, $39 million is how much the Indians are making. The Yankees are paying 5 times more than the Cleveland Indians, and I'm gonna go check the stats while Sahi talks. I'm pretty sure their record's probably the damn same.
So Sahi, what do you make of the New York Stankies at the moment, and is this going to keep up all season?
You know what? I hope it keeps up. Makes baseball, interesting to talk about. Everybody hates the Yankees, right? You know what I'm saying? So keep sucking. The more you pay, to try to be good is the funnier it is. Like, you guys, you can't do nothing with all that money you're spending.
The Indians are 8-7.
8-7. That's a better record. That is a better.
Yeah,
on 1/5 of payroll.
It what probably rubs some salt into the wound before. And I have another question. Then we can tee off this. No pun intended. Fuck it. Pun intended. Leading the league right now is the Boston Red Sox, who seem to be on fire with their 11-6 record. So that's got to rub a little salt into the bitter rivalry, into the wound. But they've got some other things to worry about. My question to you guys is: are losses in April as important to the conversation as losses in August? Are they just as important?
No. I hate when people try to make this argument because there's this thing called momentum. And when you're in a close race, those games at the end are what dictate that momentum and that psyche. Sports are completely a mental game. All these athletes have the physical skills and tools. Now, obviously some have greater than others, but it's the mental fortitude and the toughness of dealing with the adversity at the end of the season. Don't get me wrong. If the beginning doesn't go well, you won't even have that end. But in terms of which losses are more important, I don't believe in that. They're all the same. They're not all the same in any sport. The tail end of the season, when you're neck and neck, those losses matter way worse than when you're starting off 5-10, for instance, right? The Yankees can still turn it around, but let's talk about them come September, and now they're close with the Red Sox and they're trying to squeeze into the wild card, and they're neck and neck, and then that's when that $200 million payroll is really going to start hitting the news, and that's when people are going to really start getting on the Yankees. So to me, in all sports, not just baseball, the end of the season games matter more when there's a race. Obviously, if there's no race, every win and loss matters the same. But we're talking about when it matters and there's significance. And the only significance is, did you make the playoffs? And people aren't going to be worried about the beginning of the season. They're going to be like, they choked at the end. That's how they'll always focus on. That's the narrative of any sport. So to me, the end of the season matters more just due to the psychology of sports.
Sahi, do you agree, or do you think there's more weight in the early games than what Richie's given credit for?
Yeah, he said it perfectly. I couldn't have said it any better.
All right. Well, then we'll just move on. I love that we all get along, but once in a while, I wish you guys would get at each other. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on.
Asshole, you can get after us.
Yeah.
I got nothing to come after. I'm just a moderator. No. Okay. So for our last story, I saved probably the biggest story in sports right now, and it is getting
for sure
Absolutely crazy. 12 of Europe's biggest soccer clubs announced this week that they want to break away from the established soccer order and form a European Super League. The league, should it be established, would offer permanent spots to some of the world's biggest clubs, and they'd play matches midweek while allowing the involved clubs to remain in their domestic competitions. Now, currently, this plan is opposed by FIFA, and I'm sorry if I say it wrong, UEFA. They're the governing bodies for international and European soccer, respectively. And UEFA is actually threatening legal action against these 12 teams and could, in theory, ban them from future competitions. It's a huge debacle. We've got about 8 minutes of play time. I just want to find out, what side are you guys on and why?
I'm on the side of, you know what I'm saying? If the 12 best teams want to do their thing and have a little league, go ahead and do it. That's going to, one, make soccer have something more interesting to look at for the casual fans. I know the diehard fans are going to be like, no, tradition, and this is the way it should be, and you know what I'm saying? But for me, I'm like, man, these are the 12 best teams soccer has to offer. Okay, let me possibly tune in and see what the best of the best is about. You kind of get that argument in college football, like the top college football team should have their own league and break away from the NCAA, which is a fine idea. Something I know they're probably not going to do, but it's a good idea nonetheless. It doesn't hurt. I don't think it's something that would have to be forever. You know what I'm saying? Let's give it a shot. I know soccer is one of the most popular sports around the world, but me, a regular dude, and in America, you know what I'm saying? American football, as they call it, is what's getting my eyes. So if the world soccer can present something to people like me, like, yo, these are the best of the best, you're not going to see it any better than what you're seeing right here, then that might be something interesting and something new to bring in more fans. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's my opinion on it.
Just to name a few, we got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Tottenham. Richie, what do you make of this Super League concept? And I think go ahead.
Honestly, I think this is a terrible idea. I'm disgusted by it. And let me explain. Football, I'm not going to say soccer like Sahi. Football is about relegation, right? There's consequences to your losses, right? Like the Yankees having a $200 million. Nothing happens if they lose, if they suck. The fans boo them, but guess what? They're in New York City, just like the Knicks. Perfect example. They suck every year. And every year the fans clamor, this could be our year. Right? And here's another example. Okay, imagine if we had basketball, like only 12 teams. Well, guess what? Somehow the New York Knicks are going to be in that Super League, even though they sure as fuck don't deserve it. And there would no way they would ever have to leave that league. That's the problem. Now, I agree with Sahi. Are these the 12 mega teams? Absolutely. But who does this help? The owners of the mega teams. It doesn't help the athletes. The owners get the money. The owners get the TV deals. All these smaller teams, like for instance, Leicester City, right? Leicester City could win the Premier League. And they're a town, they're not a town. They're a city of like 200,000 people, right? That's super cool if they win and they beat the Yankees in their $200 million contract. Well, now they can't because now they don't even get to compete. And again, that's where this is going to get tricky. There's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of lawyers and legal speak involved in this, because at the end of the day, what you're seeing is every mid and small club getting screwed by the 12 richest teams, in soccer, as Sahi likes to call it. But let me clarify that again. Just because they have the most money does not mean that we deserve, that's the only teams we should be having eyes on. Because that's not how sports works, right? At the end of the day, it's about the fundamental organization and their upkeep and their general managers and things of that nature. So I'm not happy with this, because this was the only thing that made football/soccer unique. is having relegations. And if you lost, you had to play with the scrubs in AAA baseball and then AA, and you had to work your way back up. You had to prove yourself to the fans that you were the best teams in the league. And now you cruise control. Oh, was it one of the 12 richest? Cool. We can suck this year. Doesn't matter. We went 0-12 and $200 million contract. No big deal. We're still making $500 million. I am not happy with this because it loses the integrity and the competitiveness of what makes soccer / European football / global football unique. There was competitiveness. There was always consequence. Every win and loss mattered. And now they mean nothing. So all this did is Americanize it in a really weird way that I don't think is better. Now, I will say this. Globally, to Sahi's point, for people who don't watch, it's going to get more press now because these are the big teams. So it might, Sahi might keep his eyes on it now. He might actually give a crap because you're going to see the big name players. So from that perspective, there could be more marketability. But again, these athletes are the ones suffering because they're the ones not getting this money. It's the ownerships of these 12 clubs. So I'm not happy because, again, there's so many football teams. And now a lot of these, middle quality players and lesser players lose even more of the pie than they already didn't have. Right? We look at like Patrick Mahomes making $45 million, and then, an NFL scrub makes what? $250,000. Well, now that scrub doesn't even get to play. That's what's going to happen. You're taking jobs away essentially. So I'm not a fan of this move. Like I said, it ruins the competitiveness and it ruins what made it cool to me. Every loss and win having value. And now I don't feel like it will.
Now, the initial pitch was for it to be in addition to Premier League play and Standard League play, and now with all these lawsuits, clearly it would almost have to be a separate entity. I think this is going to hit the pockets of one Richard Masters, chief executive of the Premier League, or the FAPL. The owners that make up the rest of these teams that aren't selected to jump off into the Super League. I think this is going to be a long financial battle with lots of lawsuits tied into it.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Who knows, man?
we will definitely have to tap back into this and talk a little bit about it. Okay, so for the wild card this week, I figured we would follow up on. We mentioned Jake Paul was going to fight Ben Askren's. That did happen. Sahi, why don't you give us a skinny, and Richie, you can follow up, and then we'll close it out.
You want me to get a skinny? Oh, Ben Askren taking a dive off of one punch from Jake Paul, the YouTuber. He's not even a real boxer. He made him look like like Joe Frazier or something. You know what I'm saying? What's his name? George Foreman. He has some serious power in his hands or something. But it was an interesting build up to the fight. It gave you an unknown. This guy's not really a boxer. He's fighting a world champion wrestler, a guy not known for his striking, but he's a heck of a fighter. The story going in, he's got a chin. He's not just going to take one punch and go out like he did. So I was excited to see it. I thought Ben was going to get the win, and then 1 minute in the first round, Jake hit him, and he just went flying to the canvas. It was a great event as far as like what they put together. The actual fights, I wasn't really a big fan of. They didn't really have any really memorable fights. The thing I remember most, which is really weird, it was Justin Bieber's performance. I'm not a Justin Bieber fan, but he had a great performance, and paying the pay-per-view just for that was enough.
I'll say this much. Freddie Roach, legendary boxing coach, said Ben only was willing to work with him for a week. So to Sahi's point, this basically was Ali versus Sonny Liston 2 and a phantom punch. There's not much else to say. He took a dive. He made his $1 million. Have a good night. That was the entire event.
All right. Well,
that's going to do it. Oh, I was going to take it home.
Go ahead.
That's going to do it for The Wire. We'll see you next week. Sahi's going to lead us off. We got some more topics to hit. You might just see another guest. Who knows? Appreciate it, everybody. Have a good night.
You know, I didn't get to watch the fight, but I'm almost glad. He's 3-0 though. That could be Frost.
No, it's totally for could be.